One day, Joe gets a horrible headache that won't go away. He went to multiple doctors, but nobody could figure out how to help him. After a decade of the same symptoms, he finally found a doctor who says he can help. The doctor tells him, the good news is that I can fix your headache. The bad news is that you have a rare condition which causes your testicles to press against your spine, causing one heck of a headache. The only way to relieve the pressure is castration. Realizing he had no other choice, Joe reluctantly agrees with the procedure. When he woke up from the surgery, his head didn't hurt for the first time in 10 years. He had a new lease on life and he was going to enjoy his pain-free life to the fullest. When he leaves the hospital, he sees a tailor shop and says, I'll get a new suit. He walks in and asks for the finest suit they have. The tailor says, looking at you, you're a size 44 long. Joe says, that's right, how did you know? Well, I've been in the business for over 50 years, says the tailor. Joe tries on the suit, and it fits perfectly. Joe then asks for a good shirt to match. The tailor says, you're a 35 sleeve and a 16 neck. Again, Joe was surprised. That's right. The tailor then says, how about some underwear? Since he already got everything else, Joe says, yes, why not? The tailor looked at him and says, you're a size 36. Joe laughs and says, aha, you're wrong. I've worn size 34 since I was 18 years old. The tailor shakes his head. No, you don't want to wear a size 34. A size 34 underwear is going to press your testicles up against the base of your spine and give you one heck of a headache. A guy is late for work and gets pulled over for speeding. The officer comes to the window and asks for license and registration. The guy says, well, officer, I can't do that. You see, this is a stolen vehicle. The officer then says, is that so? I'm gonna need to know if there's any weapons in the vehicle. The guy replies, yes, sir, there's a gun in the glove compartment. The officer is now more on edge and says, sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle with your hands up and tell me if there's anything else I need to know. The guy says, officer, if I'm being completely honest here, I gotta tell you, there's a body in the trunk. The officer then calls for backup and asks for the man to wait by the police cruiser while his partner searches the vehicle. When the partner comes over, he says, sir, I'm trying to understand what the story is here. My partner says the vehicle's stolen, but this vehicle's registered to you. He also said there's a weapon in the glove compartment and a body in the trunk, but I didn't find either one. The guy replies, oh yeah? I bet you that SOB told you I was speeding too. A guy was walking along a beach in California when he stumbled across an Arabian lamp lying in the sand. He picked it up and he wiped off the sand when suddenly a genie appeared. The genie seemed to be very angry and said, this is the third time I've been disturbed this week, so you're only going to get one wish instead of 3, so you better make it good. The man thought for a minute and said, well, I've always wanted to visit Hawaii, but I get seasick and I'm afraid of flying, so I wish that you could just build me a bridge that I could drive over. The genie exclaimed, you've got to be out of your mind. Think about the logistics, all of the steel that would have to be sunk into the ocean, all of the asphalt. That is too hard. Think of something else. You know, I've been married and divorced 3 times, and each time they say it's because I don't understand them. So I wish to be able to understand women, to know what they're thinking when they're quiet, to know. The genie then suddenly interrupts him and says, wait. Did you want that bridge to be 2 lanes or 4? A woman has been trying her luck with online dating and was just about ready to give up when her friend offers to give her some advice. She says, you need to get to the point and just tell them exactly what you want. So she writes in her profile, looking for a man who doesn't run around on women, doesn't drink or smoke, and is a great lover. Well, it wasn't 5 minutes later when she gets a message. It reads, hi, I'm Steve, and I think I'm exactly what you're looking for. Let's chat. They exchange messages for a bit, and he does seem really nice, so she decides to invite him over to get to know each other better. After about 30 minutes, she hears the doorbell ring. She opens the door, and lying on the doormat is an armless and legless man. She says, can I help you? He says, hey, it's Steve. She says, Steve, you didn't tell me that you were missing your arms and legs. He says, correct. I told you I was exactly what you're looking for, and I am. She says, oh yeah, and how are you exactly what I'm looking for? I said I wanted a man who doesn't run around on women, doesn't drink or smoke, and is a great lover. He says, well, I don't have legs, so I can't run around on you. I don't have arms, so I can't drink or smoke. She says, so what makes you a great lover? He grins, winks, and says, how do you think I rang the doorbell? A man decides to quit his job and run away to join a pirate crew. After spending a few hours at the dock, he meets the captain who has a peg leg, a hook hand, and an eye patch. The man promptly joins the captain's crew and they ship out to sea the very next day. Later that night, the man walks up to the captain and says, I'm sorry, but I just have to ask, how did you get your peg leg? The captain says, arg, 'twas me first day at sea, young lad. A great big swell came up from the sea and knocked me overboard. Before me crew could pull me out, a giant one-eyed fish swam up and bit me leg off. The man goes, that sounds horrible. What happened to your hand? The captain says, 'twas me second day at sea. Another great big swell came from the sea and knocked me overboard. Before my crew could pull me up, the giant one-eyed fish swam up and bit me hand off. The man tells the captain, it sounds like the fish has it out for you, and he asks the captain what happened to his eye. The captain says, 'twas me third day at sea. I was looking up at the sky when a bird came by and pooped in me eye. The man says, and that's how you lost your eye? The captain says, no, but 'twas me first day with me hook. A man is out on his boat fishing, enjoying the day, when a frog jumps into the boat, and much to the old man's surprise says, hello. The old man, not believing what he is seeing, says, hello? The frog says, I'm a magic frog, and if you kiss me, I'll turn into a beautiful woman and do anything you want. The old man doesn't say a word. He picks up the frog, turns it around, looks it over, and puts it in his shirt pocket. The frog pokes its head out and says, didn't you hear me? I said I'm a magic frog. If you kiss me, I'll turn into the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, and I'll do anything you want. Oh, I heard you, replied the old man. The frog looked at him, confused. So then why aren't you kissing me? The old man looks at the frog and cracks a smile and says, well, at my age, I reckon I'd rather have a talking frog. A man and a woman get into a car crash. Though the wreck was pretty severe, they're both surprisingly able to crawl out of their cars without any injuries. The guy knows that the wreck was his fault, so he says, "I'm really sorry. I must not have seen you when I made that turn. But we are lucky to be alive. I mean, look at our cars. They're completely totaled, but we don't have a scratch. I think this might be a sign that we're supposed to meet today." The woman, clearly still shook up, seems to agree that this was miraculous and says, "I think you might be right. I mean, what are the chances we would survive this?" The man looks around the wreckage and after a minute says, "Hey, look at this. My car is completely totaled, but this bottle of wine in the backseat is untouched. I think it's God's way of telling us to celebrate this moment and the fact that we're still alive." "Wow," says the woman, "that is incredible." He takes the wine, pops it open, hands it to the woman and says, "Cheers to us. Ladies first." She drinks a bit and then offers it back to him. But he takes the bottle, puts the cork back in and sets it down beside them. "Aren't you gonna have some?" she asks. The man replies, "Oh, no thank you. I'm just gonna wait here for the police." Little Billy gets taken to the zoo one weekend by his parents. As they're wandering around, they came across the elephant enclosure. As they're watching them, the bull elephant starts to get, well, let's say, excited. Billy sees it and tugs at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, what's that?" he asks. "What's what?" says his mom. "That thing hanging down on the elephant." "Oh, that's the trunk," says his mother. "No," says Billy, "the other end." "Oh, you mean his tail?" "No," says Billy, "hanging down between his legs." His mother gets all flustered and stammers, "Oh, that's nothing, Billy." So Billy turns to his dad and asks the question, "Dad, what's hanging down between the elephant's legs?" His dad looks and asks, "What did your mom say it was?" Billy answers, "Oh, she said it was nothing. That's why I'm asking you." His dad looks fondly at his son and says, "Yeah, that's the trouble with your mother, son. She's been spoiled." The mafia was looking for a man to make weekly collections. In order to protect themselves, they decided they would use a deaf person for the job. If he were to get caught, he wouldn't be able to communicate to the police, and it could buy them some time. Well, on his first week, the deaf collector picks up over $50,000, but he gets greedy and decides to keep the money, so he stashes it in a safe place. The mafia soon realizes that their collection is late, and sends some of their goons after the collector. The goons find the deaf guy and ask him where the money is, but nobody knows sign language, so they call an interpreter. They tell the interpreter to ask him where the money is. The interpreter signs, "Where's the money?" The deaf guy replies, "I don't know what you're talking about." The interpreter tells the goon, he says he doesn't know what you're talking about. The goon pulls out a large gun and places it against the head of the deaf guy. "Now ask him where the money is." The interpreter signs, "Where's the money?" The deaf man, scared, says, "The $50,000 is in Central Park. It's hidden in the third tree stump on the left from the West 78th Street gate." The interpreter hesitates for a moment, then confidently turns to the goon and says, he still doesn't know what you're talking about, and he doesn't think you have the guts to pull the trigger." A guy walks into a bar and tells the bartender to get around for everybody in the house and put it on his tab. He then winks at the bartender and tells him, "And pour one for yourself, my friend." The bartender says, "Thanks," and hands the guy the bill. The guy looks at the bill and back at the bartender and says, "Oh, I ain't got no money." The bartender furiously tosses the guy out the door and warns him not to come in again unless he can pay for his drinks. The next night, the same guy walks in and tells the bartender to set up doubles for the house. And then he says, "Just to show you ain't got no hard feelings about last night, pour yourself a double too." The bartender is skeptical, but thinks that he wouldn't have the nerve to stiff him again. Unfortunately, when the bartender gives the guy the bill, the man says, I told you last night, I ain't got no money." Steam is now coming out of the bartender's ears and he yells, "Okay, that's it, you bum, you're out of here," and he tosses the guy out onto the street. The man looks confused but brushes himself off and heads home. The next night, the guy walks into the door again. The bartender can't believe it, but before he can say anything, the man says, "Set up triples for the house." The bartender mockingly says, "Oh, and I suppose you're gonna buy me one too." "No, no, 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 no," says the guy. "Oh yeah, why not me?" says the bartender. The man looks at the bartender and says, "I hate to tell you, but you get pretty mean when you drink."